Welcome to Will and Mark's Healthy Sports Obsession. I'm Will Huebner here with Mark Mashashik. We are two doctors of physical therapy, and we are here to answer your PT questions as well as give our take on current sporting events from a health perspective. As always, send your questions to willandmarkshso@gmail.com, and we will answer them on the show. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode. I'm Will Huebner here with Mark Mashashik. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.
Happy
whatever
holidays.
you celebrate out there. Do you do anything fun over the holiday?
A lot of Christmas partying.
Christmas partying, the single life.
No,
you're not single, yeah.
With the girlfriend's family was fun.
Okay, good.
Yep. Had a lot of food.
Most people say family.
Food, family, yeah, all of it.
All right, good.
What about you? Good?
Yeah, good. Lots of family in town.
Baby had fun?
Baby had fun. Happy Black Monday.
It's Black Monday.
We're going to go over fantasy recap, championships over, college playoffs, LSU, Clemson, a little bit of controversy there. Going to go over top QB prospects, get the NFL playoff picture in, and then talk to a mental health therapist,
All right.
Amy Schiowitz today. So let's get into it with fantasy recap. So Spencer Common played yours truly in the championship. I lost by 4. I needed kicker Dan Bailey, the Vikings kicker, to score 8 points. After the first minute, he had 3, so I was feeling pretty good.
Can't rely on a kicker.
Can't rely on a kicker.
Fantasy year all around, good year, bad year
Fun
for you?
year.
Yeah.
Fun year. I think the podcast league was fun. Took off. I think we'll do it again next year. May change in and out some people just to get more people, more guests on the show.
Who's your fantasy MVP of the year for your teams all around?
Teams all around, I will go Lamar Jackson.
Lamar, yeah. Dalvin carried me deep, Dalvin Cook.
Didn't help you in the end.
5 years, 13 leagues, 5 leagues I went to a championship in. That's unbelievable. Almost
Did you
50.
win any?
I went 0 for 5. It's never happened. I lost all 5 championships. 0 for 5 in championships is pretty terrible. Mike Boone laid a stinker for me.
Monster game this week.
I know, right? This his points this week would have won me at least 2 of those championships had he got it.
I was in 2 championships, 4 leagues, 2 championships, and it was funny because I had Mike Boone,
Sure,
Rashad Perryman, and I was down to should I play DeAndre Washington? So it's like everybody that got me to the championship game was unavailable due to injuries.
Tough breaks. That's how fantasy goes. You got to be hot on the waiver wire and know when to make those ads.
That's right.
So, but great year altogether. Still pulled in a couple bucks, some second places.
So a not so great day for Black Monday.
Of course.
The day where the majority of NFL coaches get fired. So let's get to it. So we'll play a little game, kind of go through it, deserving or not. I'll kind of give you the resume.
Sure.
And then you tell me what you think. So we'll start with, this one was back in October 7th. Jay Gruden, the Redskins coach, was fired. I was looking it up. It's actually his 6th season as the Redskins coach. Seems like it's much shorter than that.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like
I feel like he's had a pretty long leash because the Redskins haven't been good in a while since
Yeah.
RG3. So his overall record, though, 35-49-1
35-49-1
in 6 seasons. What do you think? Deserving or not?
I actually think he gets a little bit of a raw deal.
Really? Why?
I think he's a good coach, but I do think that there are just situations where you need change, and I feel like this is one of those. So I go deserving, but I'm still interested to see where he goes. I think he'll probably get an OC job somewhere, and I think that'll be a good hire, whoever gets him.
Do you think that he's going to end up with the Raiders with his brother? They also talked about he has connections with McVay.
Have they ever coached together before?
I'm not sure.
I don't know if him and his brother
Jay Gruden was a big arena football coach before the NFL.
Did he play in arena? I
Yeah,
think
he played as well.
Yeah.
I think he won as both a coach and a football player.
John would talk about him and his brother when they were younger as Jay being the far more athletic of the two, and John being the brainy one. He said Jay would be sitting on the couch drinking a beer, and John will say "Hey, come on and race me," and Jay will run around the house drinking his beer, beating his brother in a race. Small hands on John Gruden. Probably could have been a quarterback at a higher level if he had bigger hands.
Jay's older.
John's older, actually. I think
John's older. Interesting. Usually, it's that older brother mentality. Like you just find a way to win at things. The little brother's always trying to catch up.
Well, I think John was good at winning things. He gives you the Super Bowl knock.
Yeah. But the Redskins also firing Bruce Allen. team president.
There you go. That's the good move.
That's huge, right?
Yeah, he stinks.
So it's all, Dan Snyder trying to make a point that, hey, we're getting a fresh start. Little does he know, most people want Dan Snyder out of there.
He knows that. But I think the moves that they've made so far sound really good.
Yeah, this is a good start. They're talking about, I'm not sure if it's official or not, but Pat Rivera is being linked.
Ron.
Oh, Ron Rivera, yeah. Getting linked heavily to the Skins.
Like the news as of it's Monday at 8:45 p.m. And the news is it's all but done except signing on the dotted line. Marvin Lewis was the other one I think that was linked. That would not be good. Marvin Lewis is like captain of 8 and 8.
Yeah.
Rivera's proven that he's won, and if you're drafting Chase Young, it's the perfect fit. It's like bringing
They do have the number 2 pick. Do you think Chase Young is going to go number 1 or he's going to fall to 2?
I think the Bengals will take Burrow.
Yeah, okay. But speaking of Ron Rivera, he also got fired this year.
Yeah.
December 3rd. He's been there 9 seasons. Overall record 76 and 63. He has lost 2 seasons in a row, 2 losing records last 2 seasons.
What was last year that bad?
I don't remember what it was, but he's lost 2 seasons in a row. He's got McCaffrey, Cam kind of in flux. He's probably not going to be a Panther maybe ever again.
We don't know. That's really confusing what's going on with Cam.
I'll say this today. I think he's going to end up a Raider next year.
Cam?
I think Derek Carr is going to be looking for another. I think Derek Carr might have had his last snap in Oakland.
I've heard that reported. I heard Gruden is up for. He wants somebody with a higher ceiling, but he likes to mentor the young guys. I don't know if he'd go for the wily vet in Cam.
I think they're done with Carr. I think they've seen enough.
I do too. I don't know if Cam would be the right fit for Gruden.
Yeah, could be interesting. Could be just a segue until you get your quarterback.
It's kind of fun to see him. Just think of him on other teams though, just like teams that could really use a quarterback. Yeah. I think it'd be awesome in Chicago, but I don't think they're done on Trubisky yet.
I think they might be done on Trubisky.
You think so?
But I also don't think you're going to take a stud quarterback, and I just don't think a quarterback's going to be like the star player in Chicago, just with the way their system is set up.
Sure.
But anyway, so Ron Rivera's fired.
I would say not deserved.
Not deserved. They're already interviewed Mike McCarthy, the former Packers head coach, and they've asked to interview Matt Rule. Not even sure if I'm saying that last name correctly. The Baylor head coach, University of Baylor.
Yeah.
And Josh McDaniels.
I don't understand why Matt Rule's getting all this hype. He's had like one good year.
Yeah.
In the Big 12. It's like, what's the big deal? I don't know. I don't understand the Matt Rule. But McCarthy would be an awesome hire. McDaniels would be a dream hire. Either of those would be studs.
McDaniels being linked to almost every vacancy that's available. McDaniels is linked to that team requesting an interview with him.
Well, the reason he came back after he took the Colts job is still not public knowledge. So potentially he might not be on the market for a new job. He might have a backdoor deal with the Patriots already.
You think he might be the next coach of the Patriots?
I think when he took the Colts job and then had a meeting with Kraft and Belichick and he resigned as the Colts to come back to the Patriots, I think there may have been a handshake saying, hey, Bill's 2 more years and then we want you.
So you think if Bill leaves, you'd assume he's done. He's not going to go coach another team.
Right, yes. So if Bill retires, Bill would never say he's retiring, but has Bill secretly told Josh when he's retiring in order to keep him with the Patriots? That's possible.
Could you see Belichick wanting not to be the head coach, but maybe wanting to be like a team president of football operations, anything like that?
No. Not in name. I could see him potentially stay involved somehow, but not in name. He would not be in name at all.
Is there a chance Brady and Belichick leave next year, start on a new team?
No.
0% chance, you're saying?
Yeah, 0. They don't want to do that. It sounds fun, but that's like a lot of work and a hassle.
If Brady leaves, it might be because he doesn't want to be with Belichick anymore.
I don't think so. I think they're either both on the team or both retiring.
Okay. So then the other people linked to Josh McDaniels, Pat Shurmur of the Giants was fired today. He's been there 2 seasons, 9 and 23. I thought it was deserved. You were telling me you don't think it's deserved.
Yeah, it's deserved. I'm not going to put a strong line on it. It's just, you have a rookie quarterback. No one gets to deserve to be fired on a rookie quarterback's first season.
I thought the Giants were still playing hard.
I think it looks really good moving forward. So whoever gets the job, I think you're set up to whoever gets the job to look good. That's why I think it's a little bit of a raw deal, but you can't say like he deserves to be the coach after 2 losing seasons.
They're linked Josh McDaniels. They're asking an interview, and Eric Bieniemy, the Chiefs offensive coordinator.
I could see Bieniemy being the fit. McDaniels, I don't think will go to New York.
McDaniels, heavy favorite for if he does leave the Patriots, would be the Browns, who fired Freddie Kitchens after 1 year. They went 6-10. I personally am never a big fan of. I think you got to give people 2 to 3 years, more so in college because you get your own recruits.
Yeah, but Freddie Soup Kitchens is he doesn't even seem like he's a professional coach. He's running draws on 3rd and 25. It's like the weirdest play calling I've ever seen.
6-10 they just have too much talent to go 6-10, and the whole Jarvis Landry asking to be out to the Arizona bench.
Dude,
asking to be
so bad.
Taking on their
I
team.
think that is the number one fire for the offseason. Like, you got to expect Baker Mayfield to make a jump. He didn't, so you've got to try something else. And if Baker's not good next year, you got to scrap him. You got to hope that the problem is Freddie Kitchens and the problem is in Baker Mayfield, which I think there is a good chance that it is. So they need an offensive guru. So who else is interviewing with them? They got McDaniels would be great.
Right. They're looking at Greg Roman, the Ravens offense coordinator. They're looking at Robert Saleh, the 49ers defense coordinator.
See, that wouldn't be good because I think they need a quarterback. I think Ben-Ami would be another good fit there too.
I'm a little bit confused as to the whole Greg Roman. You're looking for offense. You see, okay, the Ravens had the best offense this year, but that's Lamar Jackson. If you go back to when they had Flacco, when they had other,
I disagree. I think that's huge, Greg Roman. But I won't discredit Jackson. I think Roman and Jackson are actually the perfect fit together. I think you're crazy to leave that job if you're Greg Roman because it's like that offense is designed for Greg Roman to run. That's like Greg Roman 101 offense. He's perfect for it.
I can't tell you how many times I've watched Flacco and at the time Alex Collins go run, pass over and over and over and over again. Run, screen pass, run, screen pass. It wasn't working with Flacco. I'm just saying, he's having a great year. Lamar, they've changed the offense, they're changing the game, that whole thing. But if you take him and put him on a standard offense again, or what, is he going to scrap? So if he goes to the Browns, he's saying, forget Baker Mayfield, I'm drafting Jalen Hurts next year.
I don't think you can do that.
I don't think he would succeed.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I would stay in Baltimore. He's the running quarterback guru. That's like what he knows.
Yeah.
It's perfect for him. Stay, Roman. Ask for a raise.
Other guys that are potentially on the move, they haven't been decided yet. So Jaguars are meeting with Doug Maroney and Dave Caldwell, the GM, tomorrow, Tuesday, and they're going to decide what they want to do with him. Apparently, the Jaguars have a new son has taken over some of the football operations.
Really?
And he actually likes Doug Maroney quite a bit, which is why they haven't fired. I think, but ultimately it's not his decision. I think he's just kind of a factor in the decision. But I think it's going to be down to somebody else.
He's probably deserving. I don't know. Doug Marone's never had a good NFL record.
Well, he's been there 3 years, 21 and 27, 2 losing seasons in a row.
And Buffalo at one point was bad.
I mean, their quarterback situation. Nick Foles hurt all year. They got Leonard Fournette, who we both kind of disagree on how good he is.
Yeah, but you've got a defense that's supposed to be the best defense in the NFL, and they play awful. I mean, it doesn't seem like a well-coached team. I don't know. Maybe the problem was Coughlin. I mean, none of the players hate Coughlin apparently. So, I don't know. I could see him I would be okay with that getting scrapped.
Yeah, I think he's going to end up staying just because I think the son likes him, and I think he wants to keep him. I wouldn't be surprised if he's fired next year, though. Cowboys, Jason Garrett, that's probably the biggest one. They have the biggest spotlight. So he's been there nine and a half seasons. He came in 2010, halfway through. But during those 9 seasons, 85 and 67 overall record. Pretty good.
Yeah.
In his 9 years.
Did you ever watch a game with a Cowboys fan?
In his 9 years, he's had 1 losing season. 4-12 in 2015. Not sure what happened that year.
That's
Why were they so
year
bad?
Romo got hurt the year before they got Dak, maybe? They got Dak in 2016, and 2015 Romo was hurt, and they had a Kellen Moore, who's a good offense coordinator now. I think that might have happened that year.
He's had 4 8-8 seasons. But if you look the last 3 years, he's gone 13-3, 9-7, 10-6. This year, 8-8. That's not a bad track record. Yeah. I know you're expecting a Super Bowl with Dallas. I'm not sure why, just because way back in the 80s and 90s they were really good. Come on.
Yeah. I don't know. He does that starfish speech all the time. There's a million starfish on the beach, and the kid's picking them up, and he's throwing them back into the ocean, and the old guy goes, "What are you doing? You're never going to get all these starfish back. It doesn't matter to any of them." And he goes, "It does for this one." Well, I think in this case, for this one, it means I think they should get him out. That's what matters.
But are you getting him out because he's a bad coach or because it's just time for a change?
Do you just need change sometimes? It's just like not turning around. I really think that it all depends on Lincoln Riley. I think they're waiting to see if they can get Lincoln Riley, and if they can get him, he's out. If they can't get him, maybe they'll keep him. But
so the 3 people linked with the Cowboys, is Lincoln Riley from Oklahoma,
Sure.
Urban Meyer from Ohio State, and Matt Rule, this Baylor guy.
I don't understand the Matt Rule. Urban would be intriguing, but I would say history tells us that would probably be a bad hire to get a college coach that's been out of football for a couple years. Not to mention he was having health concern is the reason why he left football. So I don't know if you want to hire someone who's...
Debate on the whole, him and, who's that offensive strength and conditioning coach? He had potentially had knowledge of...
That he hit his wife,
domestic abuse, right?
Yeah, so was he kicked out or didn't he leave under health concerns?
I don't know. I think some PR with that.
If you can get Lincoln Riley, how do you not do that? He seems like a genius right now.
So let's switch gears slightly. Let's go college playoffs since we're talking about college coaches.
Okay.
So LSU just absolutely stomped Oklahoma.
Yep.
Burrow throws for 7 touchdowns in the first half, runs for another touchdown, eight total touchdowns.
They're a better team.
Doesn't even finish the game. That's how much they're winning by. And then Clemson squeaks out one against Ohio State.
Yep. Do you think they deserve to be in the playoffs now?
To be in the playoffs, yes. I never said they didn't deserve to be in the playoffs.
Maybe they should put UCF in or something instead of Clemson.
If Clemson would have lost one game to anybody this year, they would not have deserved to get in.
Okay.
But let's get back to it. So, do I think they deserve to be in it? Yes. Do I think they deserve to be in the championship game? Absolutely not.
And why is that?
It's rigged. Are you kidding me? I didn't think college football was rigged until I was watching that game.
Why do you think it's... Explain yourself.
So, first off, Ohio State shot themselves in the foot over and over. They think 3 straight field goals when they were in within the 15-yard line, right?
Yeah.
But there was a play where Clemson took the lead. I think we're in the third or fourth, I can't remember. And the fumble. So the guy high points the ball on Clemson, takes 6 steps. He's bringing the ball down. Looks clearly like a fumble to me. They call it a fumble on the field. Ohio State picks it up, takes it for a touchdown. Ohio State now has the lead, back in control of the game. The replay officials reverse the call. The announcers are saying, this looks like a fumble, clear cut. The expert on it is actually saying, I think it's a fumble. And it's funny because the announcer is saying, I have no idea what you're talking about. How do you see a fumble there? And it just seemed like some iffy things are going on.
But, I mean, if it's rigged, what is the advantage to the... Did Clemson not cover or something?
No, because Clemson has the clout of 29 straight wins, right? They haven't lost in over 2 seasons. They want to see Joe Burrow take down Clemson.
I don't know, but that seems like a stretch to me. If there's not mob money involved, I'm not buying that.
Ohio State, to me, clearly the better team.
I think Clemson's a better team.
No chance. Ohio State hurt themselves a little bit by not scoring touchdowns, but they dominated the entire game.
Inconsistent on offense. They're much better on defense. That's true.
Yeah. But we'll see. Clemson, LSU. I think either way, LSU was going to beat either team. I think Ohio State had a better chance to beat LSU.
I cannot say I'm predicting Clemson to win, but I'm rooting for them.
I'm not. I don't like rewarding a weak schedule.
I just like that. I really feel you said they didn't deserve to be. It's making me root for them. That you.
They deserve because they went undefeated. But if they had one loss to anybody, they haven't beaten a single ranked team.
Nobody comes close to beating them though. They haven't lost in 3 years. I think I'm rooting for them specifically.
Can we agree that the ACC is not a powerhouse anymore?
Oh, the ACC's bad. That's not their fault.
Okay, let's go into the quarterbacks, though.
Sure.
So if we're looking at quarterbacks that could potentially go in the draft, even some that can't, like Lawrence can't go in the draft, but we'll throw him into the mix. So looking at a guy like Joe Burrow, he's having an incredible year. 5,200 passing yards. He's got 55 touchdowns, 6 interceptions.
Is that what the Saturday stats? I think he's got more than that now.
That's not what the playoffs. This is just
you had the playoffs. Right, he's up to 62.
Yeah, he's ran for 4 touchdowns, so he's having a monster year. Is he a guy you already mentioned? You think the Bengals will take him at 1?
Yep. I think it's as close to a lock as you can get it right now.
Do you think he's going to be? If we look back at this 5 years from now, and we're saying which quarterback should he have taken? Mm-hmm. You think he's going to be the guy?
I have to say that right now, I would say, if it was me, if I was the Bengals, I would take Joe Burrow. But I think it's heavily risky. You can never predict on guys who've had 1 year. He's just a 1-year starter. And that makes it very skeptical. Let's go back and analyze back his time at Ohio State behind Dwayne Haskins. Why did he lose the job to Dwayne Haskins? Dwayne Haskins did not have a phenomenal rookie year.
He played a lot in 2018 last year. So last year he went for 2894 passing yards, 16 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. threw 57% compared to 77% completion rate this year. This is incredible year he's having this year.
Oh, yeah.
But
Well, I'm saying that there's not as much tape on him as the guys that we say are home runs. And
does that help him?
From a draft standpoint?
Well, for why he's having such a great year. Does it help him that teams haven't really seen what he can do yet?
I don't think so. I don't think that's I don't see his style as something that needs to be figured out. I would take him first overall. Everything we've seen has been great. He does check all the boxes.
Now, if we throw Lawrence in there, if Lawrence was available for this year, would you still take Burrow?
No, I'd take Lawrence.
So what's the difference there?
He checks every box.
What boxes does Lawrence check that Burrow doesn't?
That I've seen it for 7 years and not 1.5.
One of the knocks on Lawrence is he doesn't have that. We had it in the previous episode with that killer mentality, right? He's very laid back, very much like doesn't seem
Sunshine. He's got sunshine in him.
He's just a laid back kind of like
I don't know. You remember watching the national championship last year? He didn't look that laid back. He was bulldozing 290-pound Alabama defensive linemen. So Lawrence checks every box. Barring anything going wrong, he'll be the number 1 overall pick next year. The only box Burrow doesn't check is just a long degree. Lawrence was the number 1 quarterback coming out of high school, and then he's moved forward and shown that he deserves to be the highest at his position. Burrow came on as, a smaller guy that developed a little slower. Now we've seen him become a great quarterback, but Lawrence is like that home run. It's like Andrew Luck. It's a for sure. And they don't come around a lot, and Lawrence is that.
I think, I like Lawrence a lot. I think Lawrence is going to be a guy that's going to be in the league for a long time. But I will say that he has improved his rushing ability much, much more. This year he's ran for 514 yards, not including this last game where he ran.
He's a beast. He's just like 240 pounds of masher.
This year, 514 and 8 rushing touchdowns.
Sure.
Last year, 177 rushing yards and 1 touchdown. So that's a big part of his game that he improved.
Yeah, I think it's just making the offense more complex in year 2 for him. I think they were, as his and he didn't even. I don't even know if he started week 1 as a freshman. It might have been week 2. But
consistency: 3,400 yards this year, 3,300 last year, 67% completion rate this year, 65% last year. I mean, you're getting the same thing out of him.
There's no way.
A little bit better each.
Number 1 overall pick next year for sure.
My gut's telling me.
Do we have a tank name for tank for?
Tank for Lawrence?
Stank for Trank. I can't think of one.
Yeah. The guy I think Burrow's having a great year. I don't know. My gut's saying bust on him.
Okay. I have no problem. Like I said, there's a big flag of that it hasn't been a long consistency. Would you take him if you were the Bengals? Or it's too bust you wouldn't?
I wouldn't. I'd probably go Chase Young. But a guy I do love is Justin Fields.
He's fun to watch.
For me, he checks every box. He is the perfect quarterback for today's game. He can pass. He's got 41 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 67% rate. He's got a great arm, and he can run. 10 rushing touchdowns, 484
Big
yards.
difference between him and Lamar, though, is Fields will take hits, and he gets nicked up with injuries. I would agree.
Stays in the game.
Basically checks every box. We'll see how his interviews do. I'm actually a little more worried about Fields' mentality than I am about Lawrence's. There might be some maturity issues with Fields that come out. We'll see. But I would agree. Fields, very similar to Lawrence, checks every box. I would say now we're looking 2021 draft. I think those are picks 1 and 2. There you go. Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields.
Yeah. And I don't think there's much, barring an injury, that Fields is going to overtake Lawrence. I think Lawrence is that good.
Yeah, you'd be surprised what a year can do, though. It can really change our minds. If we were doing this last year, we wouldn't even barely know who Joe Burrow is. So a lot can change in a year, but as it sits now, that's how it would go.
Other guys, go quickly through them. Jalen Hurts. So he's 2019 this year, 3,800 yards, 32 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 20 rushing touchdowns, 1,298 rushing yards, 69% completion rate. He's having a monster year.
Yeah.
Team's not that high on him, but maybe now after the Lamar effect.
Well, you look at his pedigree, and you look at the offense that he was in. I mean, he's in the best statistical offense there is in college football, so that hurts him a little bit. And he lost his job to Tua at Alabama. There were times at Alabama where he looked limited as a thrower, and I think Lincoln did a good job of covering those things up. I'm not sure if that was development or if it was more Lincoln covering it up for him. And I think he could be a good NFL quarterback, but he's got to be in a situation that's good for him, not coming in. And that just grades him a little bit lower. He probably won't be a first-round pick.
Yeah. I mean, Lamar, Ravens drafted up to get him at the last pick in the first round.
Lamar, we didn't see as many issues. We see there's more issues with Hurts' arm than there was with Lamar's. Lamar's issue is he wasn't throwing the ball into a lot of angles. He just didn't do things that we didn't know he could do. Now we see him in the NFL and he does it. His legs were so dangerous in college that basically, like, he was getting one-on-one coverage on all of his receivers all the time because they're trying to keep him inside the box. And it's just like, well, yeah, he can beat one-on-one coverage, great. So, but now we see that he really wasn't great.
Same thing in NFL.
And to a degree, yes, but he's actually making more impressive throws than Hurts made in college. It'd be really cool if Lincoln Riley did go to, like, what's a team that needs a new coach that doesn't have a quarterback right now?
I mean, he could go to Dallas. Dallas hasn't signed
Dak yet, they haven't signed Dak. Or what if he went to, like, San Diego and they drafted Hurts? That'd be cool, just to see them go together.
Tua, the other guy, so would have been a lot of people projecting him to be the number one pick prior to the hip injury.
Yep.
We both say risky first-round pick, but his level's so high that if he doesn't
his ceiling so high that someone will probably take him very early. I can see him going in the top 5 still.
It's all about the physical for him.
It's all about how his physical turns out. And then, but on top of that, I would put a secondary issue here that, like, even if we don't, like, let's say he didn't need hip surgery. Let's say it was a minor hip injury and it was nothing. Just the injuries have piled up so much on him. Yep. Think about how many quarterbacks you remember, like, being hurt almost their entire college careers, or at least playing hurt. I can't, like, the best NFL quarterbacks. I don't remember hearing a lot about so many injuries early on. I'm worried about him as an injury risk outside of his entire hip that he's got that we don't know how healthy that's going to be. Yeah. So if I was an NFL GM, I would probably have a round 2 grade on him for that reason. And that means I wouldn't be getting him. And that could be a huge bust because his ceiling is still through the roof. His ceiling is MVP caliber.
Well, let's talk about 2019, 2,800 passing yards, 33 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 71% completion rate. Only ran for 17 yards. A bit surprising. You think a Tua can run a little bit.
What year was that?
This was this year.
He only ran for 17 yards this year?
17 yards. That's what ESPN stats said.
That doesn't sound right, does it? It's weird.
And then last year, 2018, threw for close to 4,000 rushing yards, 43 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 69% completion rate again, 190 yards, 5 rushing touchdowns.
It just feels like he runs more.
It does. But going into that, let me just list quarterbacks. Okay? For you, NFL quarterbacks.
Well, explain to people what you're listing, though.
So, true pocket passers. And how I define that was they've thrown at least 200 passing attempts to even qualify for this list.
Okay.
And they've ran for less than 100 yards total in the whole season.
Okay. So those are your pocket passers, and then you're going to have another list of...
Yep, guys that have run for over 150.
Okay, so scramblers or...
Just have the capability of running.
Of a little running, okay.
All right, so true pocket passers. And give me a just like a check or a minus as to whether you think they're your guy.
What do you mean if they're my guy?
Like, for example, Drew Brees.
He's my guy.
He's my guy. He's great.
Okay, so whether you, like, if you owned an NFL franchise, you'd be satisfied with this guy as your star.
Correct. All right, so Drew Brees.
Yeah, guy. Oh, yeah.
Joe Flacco.
No way.
Case Keenum.
Nope.
Phil Rivers.
Not anymore.
But just in general, he's a good quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, if I got him when he was...
Potential Hall of Famer.
Yeah, well, so I'm not taking him now, you're saying. I could get him for his good years. Okay, yeah.
Tom Brady.
Yep.
Jared Goff.
Oh, that's a tough one.
It's on the fence, right?
I'm going to say no. I've never liked Jared Goff. I got to stick to my... I gave him a very poor draft grade coming out. I got to stick to my guns.
I think you got to be a little nervous about how his turnout's going to be.
He threw for a lot of yards this year still.
Yeah. Mason Rudolph.
No, terrible.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
I'm still in the Jimmy G. Yeah, I know the stats aren't there, but the Niners are winning. Give it to him.
Yeah, doing great. Sam Darnold.
I'm going to say... If you asked me 8 weeks ago, I might have said yes, but it's not looking good. I'm going to say no.
Okay. Kirk Cousins.
No.
Matt Stafford.
No.
Andy Dalton.
No.
Derek Carr.
No.
Okay. So, out of that list from this year, you've got Drew Brees, Phil Rivers, Tom Brady, 3 of the oldest quarterbacks in the league, and Jimmy Garoppolo.
Okay.
Now, let's go over a list of the ones that have rushed for over 150 yards.
Okay.
Which is not that much. It's 10 rushing yards a game. Right?
It's really not that much.
Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Kyle Murray.
I'm still a Kyle believer.
Josh Allen.
I don't like him as much as everyone else, but you got to say is usable, yeah.
Deshaun Watson.
For sure.
Gardner Minshew.
No mustache for me.
Russell Wilson.
Of course.
Daniel Jones.
We're liking Daniel Jones right now.
Okay. Dak Prescott.
Sure.
Mr. Winston.
Jameis? Famous
We're not gonna get it
Jameis. He goes by Jabu. That's one of his nicknames. I don't know where that comes from. It's Jabu.
Speaking of, you see the Bruce Arians comments on Jameis?
Jameis. No, what were they?
He said that the Bucks can win with or without Jameis. Not a big
Oh,
deal.
Arians said that. Yeah. I still think they're going to tag him. Did he throw for 30-30?
He did. First ever.
And he threw for over 5,000 yards.
See your guy, though? You happy with him?
I've always stood by him. I'm going to stick with him.
Take him. Carson Wentz.
Ugh, not looking good, but fine.
Okay. Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Hell yeah.
You like him?
Fitzmagic?
Jacoby Brissett.
No.
Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
Mitch Trubisky.
No.
Ryan Tannehill.
Yes.
You're a believer.
Pleasant surprise.
Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
Okay. So, today's NFL quarterbacks, you've gotten 4 that haven't rushed for more than 100 yards.
Yep.
And you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 that can scramble a little bit. So then I go back to you with this college football, right?
Yep.
So you got Burrow. He can run a little bit. Ran for 311 and 399 the 2 seasons he's played, right?
Sure.
Lawrence, 514 and 177. He's improved his rushing, and he's proven that he can rush.
He can tote the rock.
Fields runs 484.
Fields is a fantastic athlete. Phenomenal.
Hurts runs more than anybody. Go back to Tua, 17 yards.
You sure that's right?
And
Can you double
190?
check that?
We go back to another big guy, Herbert from
Yep.
Oregon. Ran for 21 rushing yards this year. Jacob Eason, he ran for negative 69 somehow.
Well, I think those are factoring in sacks. Yeah.
Sure. And then where's the other guy? Jake Fromm ran for 79 yards. So you've got top level quarterbacks that don't scramble much. For me, I wouldn't be taking them.
Yeah, so I think the reason that you're seeing the NFL quarterbacks scramble more is actually because of the vice versa. I think the quarterbacks that are getting more tutelage in the coming up stages are quarterbacks that can run because that's the way the offenses are going. I think Kyler Murray may have been convinced into playing a different position if he came out 10 years ago in college.
I agree.
And because these high-flying offenses are working in college, I think the best tutelage in quarterbacks are going to guys who are more likely to run. As far as your list of whether I think those guys would pan out or not, I think it's like hard to do a statistic, but being mobile in the pocket I think is more important than rushing.
I would say Breeze is mobile in the pocket. He escapes pressure, but he doesn't run for yards.
Ben Roethlisberger is another great example, or just not going down in the pocket.
Right.
So there's something to say about those big, strong guys that can do it
So
too.
Roethlisberger not on the list because he didn't throw 200 passing attempts.
Herbert is a big. He's a very big athletic guy. He can move in the pocket. He really struggled under pressure this year. He's still going to be a top pick in this draft.
Screams bust to me. He just screams it.
Dude, it's easy to say that all quarterbacks scream bust. It's hard to put your foot down and say you really think this guy's going to do it. I think
Fields is my guy. Mark my words.
Well, yeah, come on. He was the number one quarterback in his class. He's been amazing since. I mean, it's easy to say that. Oh, fine. I'll say Lawrence. Herbert's a guy who's come along that I think has a good chance of playing. Eason lost the job to Fromm and went to Washington. He's more of a statue. I think he looks a little like Ryan Mallett, who could struggle in the NFL. Just a big statue chucking the ball there. Fromm, again, I think Fromm has a little bit more mobility in the pocket than Eason. I think Fromm is a good risk to take.
So you got, out of the guys coming out this year,
I'm trying to look up who's in the Pro Bowl this year.
Joe Burrow, Jake Fromm, Jalen Hurts, Tua, Herbert, and Eason. Is this a year that you want to be having a top pick to draft a quarterback, or is this a bust year?
It's a better year than most, but it's also a good year to say I want to wait one more year.
Yeah, I think Lawrence and Fields are the guys you want.
Oh yeah,
they're the guys who are going to.
Oh
be,
yeah.
But
no, if I'm the Bengals, I don't wait. You can't wait. You don't know. I would take Burrow if I was them. I'm looking at the Pro Bowl roster. So quarterbacks from the AFC: Lamar Jackson, Mahomes, Watson. You'd say all pretty mobile guys.
Yep.
But Mahomes isn't fast. Everyone thinks he's fast. Runs like a 4.8 5.40. And the NFC, we've got Wilson, Breeze, Rodgers.
So Breeze the only one who's not. But
Yeah.
again, he's mobile in the pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Going into that, so NFL playoffs, we know what's happening now.
Right. What are your predictions?
Well, I was shocked that the Patriots lost to the Dolphins
Why were you shocked?
because the Dolphins are now a 5-11 team, and the Patriots, last time I checked, were apparently good.
Well, I mean, I have this conversation every year that I don't think the Patriots have swept the Dolphins in like 8 years. And they beat them earlier this year. They lose to them in December almost every year. So no new news. Everyone's always shocked every December when it happens. But yeah, it's unusual for them to lose to them in New England.
And it's such an important game.
Patriots do not look good. I'm hoping they took the foot off the gas thinking they could cruise through that game.
So Patriots still get a home game, but now they have to play in the first week.
Yeah, against the red-hot Titans.
Yeah, who we both said previous weeks we think Titans not only are getting in, but they're going to knock off a team.
We thought they were a sleeper, yeah.
I still, you know how I feel about the Patriots and the system being rigged, but I do think the Titans.
What system?
Patriots cheat almost every single season. We hear about the Patriots cheating, and somehow they're winning games.
Well, that's cheating. That's not rigging.
It's rigged. Nothing ever happens. Anyways, I think the Titans may very well knock them off, and I'm still going Patriots just because I think some crazy series of coincidences will occur.
I agree. I think they find a way to cheat.
Yeah. Texans and Bills, though, I think that's going to be a good game. I actually think the Bills beat the Texans in Houston.
I will. I think Houston's so unpredictable, man. I watched them all year. A lot of fantasy guys on the team. It's just like you don't know who's going to show up. I'll take them at home. I'm going to give you the lines on this though. We got New England by 5.5. You taking that?
If I was a betting man, I'd have to go Titans.
You go Titans to cover. Yeah. We got Houston by 3. You go Buffalo.
Take Bills straight up.
Okay.
Other ones, we got Saints and Vikings will be playing in New Orleans.
Yep.
I got Saints in that one. Vikings are banged up, and Saints are incredible.
Saints by 8. I'd still take the 8. I think they're gonna kill him. Captain Kirk knows how to choke.
I actually think the Seahawks benefited last night from losing.
No kidding, right? I don't think the Seahawks would tell you that. So the Seahawks lost to the 49ers, which pushed them down. So instead of having to play the Vikings at home, they're getting Philly on the road.
I think they've lost 4 home games this year.
Philly?
No, Seahawks. Surprisingly, they're losing a lot of games at home this year. Marshawn Lynch, what do you think about that?
It's cool. I don't think he looked good.
Dude, it's desperate. That's a desperate play if I've ever seen one.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to see him do a little run.
He's not the type of guy that you're thinking, oh, he's been working out every day hoping for the chance that somebody call. Like, he's out of shape.
Oh, I think he's no, I don't think. I don't think he's been waiting.
Wasn't great when he was in the.
I don't think he's waiting for a call though. I think like he called them and said, "I'm ready," and they're like, "We're ready for you."
Yeah. A little bit interesting that so the first time they got down the goal line, they gave it to him. He jumped in, pretty athletic play, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the game, they were like at the 2-yard line. Granted, they had no timeouts, but give it to him. Come on.
Yeah. Philly by 1.
No, I'm going Seahawks to win that game.
Taking the Hawks.
I would take Seahawks by like 5.
I can't believe
that line's going to change. I bet as we get closer.
If Philly is favored, that's crazy.
Are they getting anybody back? Is anybody on the verge of being healthy for them?
I don't think so.
Right, I think Jeffrey's out for a long time, right?
Jeffrey had the Lisfranc surgery.
Yeah. Who's the other?
Who? There's nobody left.
Aguilar?
Aguilar's there.
Is he?
I think so. He's a little banged up. And they got J.C. Arcega-Whiteside.
Yep.
Ertz is out.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's hurt.
Ertz?
Hammy, maybe?
Goddard's good.
Goddard's like an Ertz twin. It's hard to tell them apart. Yeah. I had Ertz on some fantasy
86 and 88.
Yeah, I had him on fantasy teams. It's impossible to tell who's catching the ball. You're like, woo, 88.
So who's your pick to win it all in the AFC?
All right, so if we go Pats Chiefs. I'll take the Pats to beat the Chiefs in Kansas City.
I'll say Chiefs win that game.
And then we got what's the other one? Who's coming to Baltimore?
Well, you said Texans. I said Bills.
I think Baltimore wins that game regardless.
Correct. So Baltimore wins, although it does make me nervous that their stars won't have played in over 3 weeks.
I will take Pats or Chiefs, winner of that game, to beat Baltimore.
That's ridiculous.
I just got a feeling. I actually really want to pick Kansas City to do it because I don't think the Pats can do it, but I feel bad I got to pick the Pats to go.
This is the first Baltimore team I've had in a while. So the year they won it all, they had to go through Denver. They had to go through Patriots. It was like a tough game after tough game, and we somehow Broncos. Remember we got that long Hail Mary?
Yeah.
But it was always like, oh man, now we got to play this team.
Not enough dirt on the Baltimore jerseys this year. They got to go through some more stuff, I think.
This year, I want them. Like, I want the Patriots to play. I want Baltimore to just take out the Patriots. I want Baltimore to get some revenge on the Chiefs. Chiefs beat them early in the year.
Chiefs, you got to watch out for the Chiefs are just as good as Baltimore.
I disagree.
Easily. No, they are. They just are. They've just been banged up. That's why their record isn't as
Marcus
good.
Peters signs an extension. What
That's
a great
big.
pickup for the Ravens.
It's huge.
So some would say better than Jalen Ramsey right now.
I haven't watched
trade,
them
the way
close.
this
I haven't
season.
watched them close enough.
All right, so you're going to go with either the Patriots or Chiefs.
Yeah.
I think you should pick one.
I'll go Chiefs.
All right, I'm going Baltimore to come out of there. And then I'm going to go Saints, and we both have Seahawks beating Eagles.
Yep.
Amy, who we're going to get on in a minute, we'll ask her predictions, but she's
Sure.
a big Eagles fan.
All right.
And then, so that would put 49ers would be playing the Seahawks, and the Packers would be playing the Saints.
I got Saints and Niners.
Yeah, I'll go Saints and Niners. And then I'm going to take the Niners,
At home, you got it, right?
although the Saints are good.
Dude, the Saints are really good.
I would be rooting for the Saints, but I think the 49ers win that game,
So you got 49ers Baltimore,
which we've already seen this year.
and it's exciting.
Great game. Baltimore won, of course.
Okay.
And then you've got Chiefs, 49ers. Also a good game. I would take 49ers to win that one.
That's tough. It's tough. Mahomes is good, man. He's Mahomes for a reason.
Yeah, I got Chiefs to beat 49ers. If the Chiefs make it out, I'm saying Baltimore. Either way, whoever's coming out of the AFC is winning it for me.
I go AFC too.
All right.
You got Baltimore. I'll go Chiefs. Okay.
All right, good.
That's settled. What do you got? Does that bring us through sports? Oh, hey, I just caught something. Zion Williams, who has not yet played this year. Williamson, I'm sorry. I noticed he had a meniscus repair. We reported that it was a meniscectomy. I'm wondering why the heck he's out for so long. He had a meniscal repair.
Apparently, he's ready to come back. He's saying he's trusting the staff to bring him back when needed.
He said he's relearning how to walk again. I don't know if that's good. I'm happy that someone brought it up to him, but I don't know if that's good news that he has to learn to walk. We'll see. Maybe he'll look totally different when he gets out there.
Maybe he'll relearn how to land off from a jump.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Is that what he's talking about? Is he making it more rudimentary? Okay. All right. That's sports. We've got
So we got Amy Schiowitz coming in.
Yep.
So Amy has a master's in counseling and mental health services and another master's in professional counseling, both from the University of Pennsylvania. She's currently a licensed professional counselor in the state of Pennsylvania. Her professional experience includes telephonic employee assistance programs, community outpatient mental health. She's done high school counseling, and she's even done eating disorders counseling for patients with eating disorders. She's currently supervising a team of master's level clinicians working on telephonic employee assistance programs. And she's also working on her application to become licensed in the state of Delaware.
fantastic.
So she's a big Eagles fan. So we'll talk about Eagles first, and then we'll get right into talking about mental health. So if anybody has any questions or comments, feel free to comment, and we'll ask her.
All right. Let's bring her up. We'll get her on. See if we get Amy on the line here.
Hello?
Hello? Hello?
Hey, Amy, welcome to the show.
Amy, you're on with Will and Mark.
Hi, Will and Mark. Thanks for having me.
So we want to just first off start off, we just went through our NFC predictions, and we know you're a
Okay.
huge Eagles fan. So what are your thoughts on you get to host the Seahawks?
This is going to sound nuts. I think we can beat the Seahawks. We are injured as hell. But
Is anyone healthy?
no, not me, Carson Wentz and Doug Peterson.
That's kind of weird because most years it's the opposite.
Right?
Yes, most years Carson's hurt. This year he has played healthy for all 16 games, which he has done his first season too.
I wonder if Peterson went to like a voodoo witch and had to like sacrifice everyone else's joints to keep Carson Wentz healthy.
So my theory is that the second the Philadelphia Eagles won their first Super Bowl, we sold our souls. And now everybody's getting hurt. We sacrificed this. We did this for ourselves.
Was it worth it?
Yes,
I agree.
100%.
Well, what about the whole Carson Wentz was big into, like, he changed his diet. I think he wasn't eating meat anymore. He was changing, like, his workout routines. He changed a lot of things to help get prepared this season that was different. Maybe some of that's paying off. I don't know.
Maybe, and I think a big part of it probably is he's getting into his routine, his mentality. I think now he's finally shook off the, Nick Foles is the guy thing, and he is taking ownership and leadership of his team.
If you're a restaurant manager in Philadelphia and your boss allows you to give away one free dinner a day to football players, and Nick Foles walks in with Carson Wentz and they sit down, who gets the free dinner?
Oh,
that's a good question.
Oh, that is a really good question.
I feel like Foles has to eat for free no matter where he goes forever in Philly.
Yeah, Foles is forever.
You could tell Wentz you just get a Super Bowl, no big deal, and you get free steak too.
He doesn't eat meat, so I think it'll be
Wentz
cheaper.
will get his.
Yeah, it's cheaper to give.
That is a great question.
So let's just say, by the grace of God, the Eagles beat the Seahawks. Now they're facing the 49ers in San Francisco. Any chance at all? As a diehard Eagles fan, do you have any chance?
They have maybe a 5 to 10% chance, but we also said that they had no chance against the Falcons and no chance against the Vikings and no chance against the Patriots, and look where they got. So anything can happen. It's any given Sunday.
Put it into the ether. Just keep believing.
You know what? There was a time in my life where I didn't believe, and, they proved me wrong. Let's hope they can do it again.
What are your thoughts on the Eagles with a 9-7 record getting to host a home game? Kind of, you win your division, you get, a top spot over the wild cards. In this case, both wild cards have a better record than the Eagles. In general, do you think that's a good system?
I mean, I think if the roles were reversed, I'd probably be a little ticked off. But it is what it is. I mean, I think there's a reason that we have divisions, and it helps with the strategy a little bit more. Now, again, you also have a division like the AFC East, where the Patriots get to play the Bills, the Jets, the Dolphins every single year. And up until this year, the Bills really weren't too good. So they've gotten to be the beneficiaries of a really crappy division for a really long time. I wouldn't be opposed to maybe redoing the divisions to make it make a little bit more sense based on geographical location, but that doesn't really answer your question. But
that's interesting. That's okay, yeah.
Do I think it's totally fair? No. Am I going to reap the benefits of it? Yes.
I like the divisions. I like that
if you win you there's always a goal. Win the division, you get something out of it. I like that. Yeah.
Right. Kind of like college basketball. You win your conference, you're automatically given.
I always like that you control some amount of your destiny that way. I think that's the right way to do it.
Exactly. And yes, there are some divisions that probably have it a little bit easier than others. But at the same time, maybe some of those other teams in the other divisions should just get better.
It's crazy. The NFC East potentially is going to have 3 new coaches coming in next year.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. And they said that Doug Peterson was the worst coaching hire of the decade. Somebody said that when he got hired.
Wow.
He doesn't look quite as good without all his expert assistants, though. It's been a little tougher.
Hey, Doug Peterson, I got to give him some major credit. He has gotten to the playoffs 3 out of 4 years. The only year he didn't was his first year as a head coach, and he did it with guys from, working at the Acme at wide receiver.
Of course, yeah. So, Amy, bring us back into some of your work and what you do in behavioral mental health, and just let us know your career arc, sort of what got you interested in going into this field, and what are some of your passions that, things you work on and you want to keep working on?
Yeah, so right now I am supervising a team of mental health clinicians for a telephonic employee assistance program. So we take calls from various people from various companies who are dealing with either some stress at work, some stress with their family, et cetera, et cetera. It can be a wide variety of issues that they might be dealing with. We get crisis calls, and really our job is to make sure that they're getting what they need, that they're getting that immediate support, and that we're, making sure that they're getting the best care moving forward. I became interested in mental health. I kind of always knew that I was going to do something like this. Maybe not my exact job that I have right now, but when I was 12 or 13, I started getting really into psychology. I was picking psychology books, reading all about, kind of why people did what they did, why people make the decisions that they make, why, what are the factors that go into how we behave, how we are, and who we are. And when I got into college, I studied psychology, and I remember sitting down with my aunt, who's a psychologist, and her best friend, who's also a psychologist, the day after Thanksgiving dinner, and they were talking about their jobs as mental health therapists and what they did on a daily basis, and I was hooked. I was just totally transfixed with what they did, and I just thought it was the coolest thing. It just hit me in that moment. Okay, this is what I'm doing. So I went to grad school for counseling and psychology and did some outpatient work. I worked in partial hospital settings, worked, as a telephonic EAP counselor for a while, and now I'm supervising that team. Next steps for me, continuing to kind of do what I'm doing right now, but I'm hoping to get my license in the state of Delaware. I already have it in Pennsylvania, but my aunt, who's the psychologist who kind of inspired me to do this work, works in Delaware, and once I get my license there, I can join a part-time private practice with her, which would be pretty fun.
Awesome. That sounds really good.
Yeah, I love it. It's challenging work, but it's really rewarding. I think, as you both know, as healthcare professionals, it's not easy what we do.
Yeah. With the employee assistance program, is that something you fell into, or is that something that you had a real interest in? Is it run through the companies or through the insurance?
Yeah, so this is something that I totally just kind of fell into, and I ended up really liking it. So our company contracts with various employers, and it's the employees that call in, and we're the ones that support them. So we're not, we're technically, not associated with the insurance itself, and it's part of their employee benefits. So they get these counseling visits that they can use, at no cost to them. It's totally separate from their health insurance. So it really allows people to get the support that they need, hopefully without having to worry about, financial considerations, co-pays, deductibles, all that.
No, that's awesome.
So
Yeah.
what are people that are working at the company that give you a call, what are some of their common complaints or issues that they kind of want to talk out with you?
Can you tell us just what type of company they usually work at? Is that okay to say?
And we contract with, I can't even tell you how many companies, a lot of them. So we will get, anything from somebody that's, working for a state as, kind of a union worker to, we've gotten pilots before calling in. So it's pretty fascinating. We get kind of a wide variety of people.
So it's not necessarily the highest stress jobs. It could be any job.
It can be any job. And some of the jobs are really high stress. Others are not as high stress. We've gotten anything from, just kind of frontline workers to CEOs calling in.
Gotcha.
So it really runs a pretty wide gamut.
And then what are the most common things you see as a healthcare provider?
Yeah, we see a lot of anxiety, a lot of kind of stress management things, a lot of relationship issues. I would say depression, anxiety, and relationship problems are probably our big top three that we get.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think there's kind of this negative stigma that comes with mental health, and you thinking of the guy who's wants to hurt himself, or something really devastating is about to happen, and you just listed three things that I think the majority of
people experience it at some point,
right,
whether
exactly.
they consider it a medical diagnosis or not. Everyone gets down or anxious, and it's a great service to be providing.
Absolutely. And I think the thing is, you can have a diagnosis, you cannot have a diagnosis. At the end of the day, it's not really the diagnosis that matters. It's what you're going through. It's how you're going to get through it. And that's how we talk about mental health in a way that's productive, that's supporting folks no matter whether you have a diagnosis or not.
So if someone comes and they're, have high anxiety, what are some of the things that you can kind of retrain or kind of work towards improving? How do you go about that?
Yeah, so that's a great question. It really depends on, kind of what that person's situation is, and there's a lot of different schools of thought on this. So one of the schools of thought is, kind of helping them manage some of that in the moment anxiety, and then getting to more of those, figuring out kind of what those triggers are to, what's causing their anxiety in the moment. How are we dealing with the triggers? And then there's some of the, okay, what's really, really causing the anxiety? Is there something more deep-rooted that's going on? Is this something that can be resolved with medication, or is this something that can be resolved with some short-term intervention? So it really, honestly, I think it kind of depends on what the person is dealing with. I don't think there's one right or wrong way to manage it or to treat it. I think, anxiety is not something that can necessarily be cured. And, for a lot of mental health diagnoses, there's no quote-unquote cure per se. There are different things that you can do to help manage it and to make it easier to deal with as time goes. But there are still always going to be those environmental triggers that come in. I think a big part of managing the anxiety, managing depression, is recognizing what those triggers are. Mindfulness-based practices are something that can really help. Just helping you, when your brain starts to spiral, helping you do things to stay in the moment. So one of the things that usually in my line of work right now, because we really are short-term, we're just trying to figure out, what a person can do right now in this moment until they're able to get connected with longer-term care. One of the things that we'll do on the phone if somebody's, dealing with some major anxiety, or we can cue in and see that somebody's, maybe having a panic attack over the phone, is to just do something called a grounding technique. So what I'll do is I will have people look around and notice 5 things in the room that they can see and list them out. And then I'll do, okay, so what are 5 things that you can see? I can see, these flowers, the TV, this table, this coffee mug, and this book. And I'll then have them describe it a little bit. And as they start to describe what it is that they're seeing, they start to become more centered and in the moment, and it gets them out of that spiral. And so we'll do that, and then I'll say, okay, what are 4 things that you can touch, 3 things that you can hear, 2 things that you can smell, and 1 thing that you can taste. And we'll go into some of the more specific details on those things to help them recenter themselves.
That's amazing.
So that's one.
I think it's so surprising to me that people don't understand or just don't know to even think about how mindfulness can really affect our mood completely. I mean, we do it. We have to do things like this in physical therapy all the time, just calming someone down. And there's different ways we could do that. Has a tremendous effect on their level of pain. They calm down and like, oh, I don't have that pain anymore. So it's very interesting using mindfulness to treat the entire human system.
Absolutely. And I think there is, obviously that component of, mental health and physical health connecting too. I've seen patients who have had chronic pain. I've seen, I've kind of heard complaints on, my, back has been hurting a lot. I've been, dealing with this. I've been dealing with that. And it really impacts their quality of life. So to have them kind of engage in those practices, I think can really help too.
Yeah, I would say
from both a physical and mental perspective.
I know Will would agree with me on this. Neither of us have a degree in mental health at all, but there are some days I feel at the end of the day that I did more mental health counseling than I did physical therapy, and for the good of my patients too.
Absolutely, and I think that's again, it's all interconnected, and it should be. We're not just one thing or the other, and. Again, there's a reason that medication isn't going to automatically cure everybody's mental health concerns. And there's a reason that medication isn't going to, automatically cure everybody's physical concerns either.
It's good to hear another healthcare professional that just has such a global look at the body. Sometimes we get stuck in our boxes, but it's great that we can all help each other's patients together and see it from that global approach, which we've had a couple guests on now that have mentioned that in a row.
That's
here.
Great.
It's great.
So,
very cool.
With the employee assistance program, do people often talk to you about, feeling burnout at their jobs, or, the stress levels are getting to them and they're starting to maybe it becomes a problem for them? Are there some common signs that people might have that they start to, you have an idea that they're a little bit burnout from work?
Yeah, so I think a big sign of burnout is obviously the physical symptoms. So they might feel a lot more tired, kind of exhausted, maybe depressed. Maybe they're not experiencing that same joy that they used to in going to work. And some people are going to love their job. Some people are just going to have their job to pay the bills. But I think you can recognize signs of burnout when it becomes more all-consuming and all-encompassing, where it's a pretty big struggle to get out of bed in the morning. So some of those symptoms of depression, feeling kind of hopeless, feeling, physically and emotionally exhausted, not feeling like there's really any way out. I think burnout for healthcare professionals is a big one too, and something that, as a mental health therapist, I have to recognize when I'm starting to feel that way. I think from a physical health perspective too, I know, doctors and physical therapists and, in the line of work that you both do probably have to be on the lookout for those things too.
Yeah, I think I would think in our line of work, even it's the stuff that weighs on you is people's mental side of things, of just, if you're based in a place where you treat a lot of chronic pain, it can be heavy. It's just, pain all the time, and you're trying to work with people through it. It can definitely be heavy.
Definitely. And I think there's that vicarious trauma too that we might experience, just hearing other people's stories and hearing what other people are going through. It weighs on you. It's not easy. And just remembering to, kind of do what you need to do for that self-care. And that looks different for everybody. Whether it's exercising, whether it's, listening to music, reading a book, even taking an extra 5 minutes to, talk with your friend or your spouse or your kid or what have you. Self-care is going to look a little bit different for everybody, but it's so important that we engage in it.
That's great advice.
So as a healthcare professional from our end, say we have a patient and they have, neck pain or back pain, and we just start noticing that they are very anxious. They come in and we ask them how they're doing, and they're saying, well, everything's worse. I went on this long walk and now my back feels like it's going to explode, all these crazy things. When is it appropriate for one healthcare provider, like a physical therapist, to refer out to a mental health therapist?
I think, and maybe this is my bias as a mental health professional, I think most people could probably use it. So I don't know if there's really an inappropriate time to refer out. I would definitely say, if you're starting to notice that one of your patients is having some of those symptoms of anxiety, if they're having symptoms of depression, even if you feel like they could just benefit from talking to somebody, it never hurts.
We have we're Facebook live stream right now, and we just got a comment or a question for you. So it says, working in the health profession as a busy clinician, what are some ways to deal with burnout or prevent it? And this is from Rebecca.
Well, hi, Rebecca. Thanks for asking that question. I think, again, taking little breaks throughout the day when you can. I know it's not always easy, but I think we also have the ability to prioritize and figure out what's going to be important to us throughout the day. So even if it's just a 1-minute activity to kind of recenter yourself and get yourself back on track, all it takes is I like to say that all it takes is a minute. If you can just have a minute to walk away from your computer or walk away from, wherever the workspace is, and just take a couple of deep breaths, I think that can make a world of difference sometimes, even if it's just something really, really little. You're not always going to have the time during the day to, exercise for an hour or read a long book or, listen to something. You can usually take a minute to just breathe.
Yeah,
sure. That's good advice.
Just breathe.
Just breathe. Deep breath in, deep breath out. And it's not going to cure everything, and I don't want to make it sound like, that's the end-all, be-all answer, because everybody's, going to have a different response and a different reaction. I would also advise whoever's listening to this to, figure out what works for you. What works for me isn't necessarily going to work for the next person, and that's okay. And everybody's different. It's, all about kind of going with what makes you happy and what brings you joy and that sense of peace.
I love that. It's beautiful.
So you mentioned earlier relationship problems were one of the kind of your top three that you say people often have issues.
Mm-hmm.
Does this include, issues with maybe your boss or your coworkers, things like that?
Absolutely. We get a ton of those. So
So-
there are,
oh.
we get a lot of people, dealing with kind of issues at work, and we have to kind of tread very carefully too, because, it's not our job to necessarily fix the problems at work. It's to help somebody be better equipped to handle those on their own.
Yeah, so you're being hired by the company, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So if
we are not saying anything negative about the companies.
But can the company ask that if there are problems that you do unveil to let them know and they can maybe try to make it better, or is that kind of strictly off?
It really depends on the situation. So in probably 95% of cases, I would even say more than that, maybe 99% of cases, unless there is a signed release of information, we cannot disclose anything to the company. It's treated just like, any other medical records are. So we have to abide by HIPAA standards. Now, there are a few cases where, maybe the company mandates that somebody goes to counseling. In those situations, they'll probably have the employee sign a release of information so that they can be kept up to date on what's going on and try to best support that employee. But a lot of the calls that we get, if somebody, is dealing with a lot and, the manager or the company recommends that this person call into us, usually they will put the employee in one room and leave the room and let them do the talking.
Have you seen the show Billions?
I have not.
Oh, you should watch Billions. There's an office therapist, and she really wields all the power in the office. Wendy. Watch it. You, as a counselor, I think you would enjoy that.
Yes. All right. I'm adding that one to my list.
So in the world of physical therapy, the insurance world of physical therapy, if you're going through insurance, PT or physical therapy is considered short term. Like kind of get them to be to the point where they can kind of, maybe they still have a little bit of pain, but they can do the daily activities that they need to do. For something like mental health, to me, it just seems like it's probably a long-term issue. Like you said, you might not cure anxiety, but maybe you can give them some techniques to help with like grounding and things like that you mentioned. How long do people, and I know it'll vary, but how long generally do people talk to you, or is it twice a week for 6 weeks, or kind of how does it work that way?
Yeah, so what we do specifically on our end, most of our phone calls with somebody are just one and done. And we'll refer out to in-network counselors that are in the area. Depending on what a person's plan is, and it really depends on what the company itself purchases, they might have 3 visits that they can go and see an in-network counselor, and once they see that person for 3 visits, if they decide to see, that they need additional counseling, they would go through their insurance. For some, it's 10 visits. It really depends on what the contract is and what the plan is. Most of the time, after, the counseling sessions through EAP are utilized, if somebody needs more and it's not just kind of a short term, I'm having problems with my boss and it's causing me some anxiety, or, I'm having some very short term, grief or relationship issues, if it's something that is more chronic, like depression or anxiety, it'll usually be recommended that they continue with counseling or therapy, through the insurance side.
No,
Yeah,
great.
Good service. Sounds good.
Yeah, so it really is meant to, just kind of assess and figure out where somebody is and what their needs are in the moment. But I think it is a really great way to get somebody into counseling or kind of break that barrier for them. I think there's still a lot that needs to be worked out with, mental health counseling and accessibility in general. And I would love us to get to a point where it can be accessible for everybody.
Yeah, agreed there, 100%. Not definitely underfunded field.
Yes, and underutilized and totally stigmatized still. So we have a lot of work to do.
Oh, I do have one more question for you, Amy.
Yeah.
So I think me and Will, as healthcare practitioners, we don't feel taboo or stigmatized by the idea of mental health, but we'll get patients sometimes who you can kind of feel it on them that they would feel stigmatized to it, but we still want to recommend that maybe you should be talking to someone. What's your go-to, like, what spiel would you give? Like, hey, we know you might not be comfortable with this idea, but it's something that could maybe help you from multiple standpoints.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I'll do if somebody maybe doesn't feel like they're totally ready to take that step is just, understanding and validating where they are in that moment and just trying to support them how I can, saying something like, I understand that, this might be a little bit tough or it might not be something that you've considered, but I think it could be really helpful just to talk to somebody, and it doesn't mean that, you're going to have a diagnosis or that you're quote-unquote crazy. It just means that maybe you could use a little bit of extra support like everybody does.
Yeah.
I usually won't kind of go a whole lot more detail on that, but just kind of seeing where somebody is and, picking up on cues that they may express. So if somebody, says, well, what if anybody finds out, talking to them about privacy and confidentiality standards and, letting them know that, it's okay to be nervous, that a lot of people are nervous the first time that they go. And that therapy is really meant to be a place that's non-judgmental and supportive.
That's great. That's perfect.
Yeah. Do you ever feel like, as a mental health therapist, even Mark mentioned in his comments earlier, joking around, we say that we do more mental health sometimes than physical health.
I wasn't totally joking, but okay.
Do you ever feel like kind of that stay in your lane mentality? Like we'll have a patient will come in and say, oh, I went to a chiropractor and they gave me this list of exercises. Or, I saw my primary care and they gave me this exercises. And we're like, well, these aren't necessarily the greatest for you. These people haven't been trained in exercise prescription or anything like that. Do you ever feel like from a mental health perspective, you kind of want people to stay in your lane and just refer out to you instead of do their own thing?
Not always. Again, it really depends on the situation. I don't know if it's, wise for somebody else to be kind of treating longer term depression as, a physical therapist or what have you. But, if it's something short term and you have a, potential intervention that could be helpful, why not?
Sometimes just listening, like you said.
Right.
Exactly. And listening really does, honestly, it's such an important step. And I think a big part of mental health and trying to get people on the right track is just being heard and feeling and, understood and validated.
No, that's fair.
Goes a long way in, relationships with patients, whatever it is.
Everything.
I remember early on, I thought somebody comes to me and they vent to me, they're looking for a solution. That's hardly ever the case. They just want to vent to you.
Right. Mm-hmm. What's Tony Robbins say? There are people who are there's two responses that come at you. People that are giving you a loving response or people who are crying at you for help. If you respond thinking those two ways, you should always give a good response. Mm-hmm. Don't answer a cry for help with a cry for help.
That's a good quote. I'm going to have to use that one.
Okay.
All right. And then lastly, Amy, you did not make the playoffs? Or no, you
No, my
did not.
team
Okay.
stunk this year. I started poorly, and then I went on a decent run, and then I stunk again.
I kept trying to trade you bad Eagles players, trying to rip you off on your hometown fanship.
Yeah, that method's not going to work for me.
It was worth a shot.
I know our players are mostly bad.
I was thinking of Mark when you were talking about the signs of depression, feeling hopeless, not wanting to kind of go on. I was thinking about you and your fantasy team. I feel like that's how you felt.
Yeah, 0-5 in championships is rough, but we'll be back next year. No depression on that one.
Oh, that's funny. I'm sure, Will, you're probably not feeling too depressed right now with the Ravens being as they are.
I am very happy with the Ravens.
Killing it. We'll see.
Killing it. I just feel, whether it's home or not, I feel like they can't be beaten right now.
That's a good feeling. Yeah, ride it. I'm worried about them in the championship.
Like, I was excited that we played the Steelers, even with RG3 and Gus Edwards. Like, I knew we were just going to take it to them. And it just, even though they wouldn't have gotten in because the Titans still won, it feels good to knock them out. Last year, we knocked them out when we beat the Browns at the last second. Remember they kept showing the Steelers watching the video? That was a great feeling to see their hopes squashed.
Chiefs will be tougher.
It's a beautiful thing watching not only your team make the playoffs, but your division rivals getting knocked out.
Yes, like if they had a panorama of all the Cowboys fans when the Eagles won, that would be a great thing to see as an Eagles fan.
My favorite video right now is seeing Jerry Jones as he's watching the Cowboys pummel Washington, watching Boston Scott run in for his third touchdown, and he's like, all right, this is done. It brings so much joy to my life. That's my self-care. My self-care is just watching sad videos of Jerry Jones.
I think it was like a 17-17 game in the third quarter, right?
Was it 17-17 in the third quarter?
I can't remember. I remember the Giants hanging around more than I was expecting them to.
They were hanging around for way longer than I was comfortable with, and then we stepped it up. I don't know what we did, and we lost Miles Sanders and Brandon Brooks too.
Yeah, it's tough. Is Sanders going to be back?
Sanders should be back, right?
I hope so.
He's turning out to be a stud. It's a good pick.
I hope so. Look, Boston Scott, he's, I think, the surprise of the year right now.
Where's he from?
He was
Boston
on our practice squad. I don't know. My next door neighbor.
Okay. And then your other guy, your receiver's like Ward right now? Something Ward?
Greg Ward Jr.
Greg Ward.
Where's he from? Houston?
He was a quarterback at Houston.
Okay, that's right.
That they converted to wide receiver. And then he played for the AAF for a while.
Boston Scott, Louisiana Tech.
Was he good?
Huh.
I don't know. It was Louisiana Tech. What do you want?
Who was the Memphis guy that was Daryl Henderson?
Henderson. Yeah, he's with the Rams.
Oh, yeah, back up to Gurley, right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Third string, actually. Okay, Amy, that was fantastic. That was some great information for all our listeners. Any other information you want to get out?
Yeah, do you want to tell us your company name? Is there a way to contact you? Or
So people can follow me on Twitter if they'd like. It's mostly ramblings about the Eagles. It's at Amy_she, SHEE. But if you have any questions, feel free to connect with me there. I'd be happy to answer them. I will also say right now for, anybody kind of struggling with any mental health concerns or they're just kind of feeling down, just know that you're not alone. There's, always somebody to talk to. Reach out for support. There's always going to be people that are in your corner. One of the major advocates for mental health in sports right now is Brandon Brooks. He's the offensive lineman, right guard for the Philadelphia Eagles. So I would...
Brandon Marshall's the one I know about. Marshall does a lot, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he does a ton. I recommend, following both of them if you can. And they're really good supports for the mental health field. And,
Great.
It's nice to see good players. It's even better when they're really good humans, too.
Yes. And you can also send any questions to Will and Mark's HSO, and we can get those over to Amy, too.
Great.
Okay, Amy, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me. Take care, guys.
all right, thanks, Amy.
Bye.
What do you think?
Pretty good.
Yeah?
Good voice, good talker. Did we drag her a little too? I thought we might have dragged her a little too long, but we're still on here, huh? But it's good.
Yeah, I thought it was great. So we still got...
We're going to end this?
We're still going. Will and Mark's HSO. Email us any questions. All right. Will and Mark's HSO at gmail.com.
Over and out.
Over and out.